Hello everyone. Today we are going to study the 8th class science first chapter, that is the crop production and management. Here, introduction. Look here, all the living organisms require food for their life process like digestion, respiration, excretion, etc. It means every living organism, it means which have life, the organism need the food for their life cycle. It means they need the food for complete their life cycle like the digestion, respiration and the excretion. Here, if we see the plants, they can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Plants prepare their own food by using the sunlight, minerals from the soil and the carbon dioxide and the sun heat. By using all these things, the plants prepare their own food. But animals can't prepare their own food, so they are dependent directly or the indirectly on the other animals or the plants here. If you take the example for the example here, as a human beings, we are depend upon the plants and animals for our survival or for our food here. But plants prepare their own food. In the order to provide the food for a large population, regular production, proper management and the distribution of food is necessary. Here, if we have to provide the food for the large population, for example 2000 people, 3000 people or the millions people, if we have to provide the food for them, we have to produce the food, regular production of the food, and we have to manage it and we have to save it and we have to distribute the food for the necessary where it was necessary. Here it means food production means we have to make the agriculture. Here if we have to make the agriculture, we have to know about the crops. How many types of the crops are there, how we are going to make the cultivate them, on how to have to agriculture them, everything we have to know here. First we are going to know about the crops here. When the same kind of the plants are grown at the one place, it means same type of the plants are grown at a place on a large scale. It means for the hectares of the area, we have to produce the same kind of the plants is known as the crops. If you are going to grow the grams as acres of the lands, that is known as the crops here. And the crops types are, there are the different types of the crops here, like the cereals, vegetables and the fruits, etc. These are the different kind or the different types of the crops here, where we are going to make the cultivate, where we are going to produce the large number of the land or the large number of the fruits, large number of the vegetables to provide, to distribute these fruits or these vegetables for the large number of the population. Here plants can be or the crops can be classified on the basis of the seasons. Here we are going to see the differentiation of the crops on the basis of the seasons here. Rainy season, winter season. Here first crop is that is Kharif crops and second one is the Rabi crops here. If we see the first one, Kharif crops, or we can say that is the Kharif crops also. The Kharif crops are the crops which are sown in the rainy season are called the Kharif crops. It means the plants or the crops which are sown in the rainy season. Here in India we see the generally from rainy season begins from the June month to the September month. Here rainy season in India is generally from June month to September month. Here in this month or in between these month from June to September, we are going to cultivate the paddy, maize, soya beans, groundnuts and the cottons. These are the crops are cultivated in rainy season or in between the rainy season. These are the example for the Kharif crops here. Second one is the rabi crops here. The crops which are grown in the winter season are called rabi crops. It means in the colder season or in the winter season, the crops which are cultivated that are known as the rabi crops here. Here their time period, it means the rabi time period is generally from October month to the March month here, or in between October to March months we are going to cultivate the rabi crops. The example for the rabi crops are wheat, gram, pea, mustard are the example for the rabi crops. Here now this is the winter season. We are going to cultivate or we are going to make the irrigation of the grounds here. In the below picture we can see the plants or the crops which are sown in the winter season. This is the wheat which is cultivated in the winter season, and this is the gram plants or the gram crops which are cultivated in the winter season here. Next one is that if we have to make the agriculture, we have to follow some steps, or we have to see some important steps for the agriculture here. First one is the preparation of the soil. Second step is the sowing of the seeds or the sowing. And third one is the adding of a manure and the fertilizers. And fourth one is the irrigation. And fifth one is the protection of the weed from the weeds. And next one is the harvesting. And the last step and the last stage of this crop production is the storage. These steps are very necessary to crop production or to make the agriculture. Every farmer of our country follow these steps one by one to get good yield from his land here. Next one, first step we are going to see here, that is the preparation of the soil. One of the most important tasks in the agriculture is to turn the soil and loosen it. Here the first step is a very important. Why? Because we can't cultivate, we can't sow the seed in the rough land or in the stony land here. So before sowing, before we have sowing the seeds in the soil, we have to turn it or we have to lose it particles. And the loosened soil allow the root to penetrate and breathe easily even when they go deeper into the soil. Why we have to loosen the soil? Why we have to lose the soil? Why we have to turn the soil? Means when we are going to put the seed in the soil, it start to penetrate their roots in the soil deeper and deeper. If we are not going to lose the soil or we are not going to turn the soil, the roots can't penetrate in the soil. So the yield will affected. So when we are going to turn the soil, the roots are going to penetrate deeper in the soil, and even though they get easily or breathe in the soil here. The loosened soil helps in the growth of the earthworm and the microbes present in the soil. And this loosened soil also help in the growth of the earthworms and the microbes. These organisms, or we can say these are the insects which are very helpful to the agriculture. They fix the nitrogen there. They fix the nitrogen, which is a very help to the plants in the growth. If these earthworms or these microbes are not present in the soil, the plants doesn't produce their good yield. So if we lose the soil, if we turn the soil, they will help in the growth of the earthworm and the microbes, which are very helpful for the agricultures. Next thing is that the process of the losing and turning of the soil is called tilling or ploughing. The turning process or the loosening process of the soil is known as the tilling or the ploughing. It means if we have to separate the particles of the soil, the process is known as the tilling process. Here in the below picture we can see the farmer is tilling or losing the soil by using some instrument. This is done by, or the ploughing is done by the instrument known as the plough, which is made up of the wooden or the iron. In the older days we are going to use the wooden things or the wooden materials or the wooden instrument to make the loose of the soil. Nowadays we are going to use the tractors or the iron metals to make the soil loosen or to turn the soil. Here second step is sowing and quality of seed. Here sowing is the process of the planting of the seed in the soil. Sowing means the putting the seed in the soil, or we are germinating the seed in the soil is known as the sowing process. The seeds are sown in the soil that is loosened by the cultivator or the plough. Means here we are going to put the seed where the soil is loosened by the cultivator. The farmer is known as the cultivator. The farmer is going to put his seeds in the loosened soil. And next point is a very important, that is quality of the seed. The quality of the seed is directly effect upon the yield. If there is a good quality of the seed, we get good yield. If there is a damaged and dead seeds we are going to sow in the soil, we doesn't get any good yield from the land or from the agriculture. So this is a very important step of the agriculture, that is the selecting of the seeds here. Here the quality of the seed is an important factor that determines the crop yield. It means it is directly effect on the yield of the crop. So the farmer is going to select the good quality of the seed to get the large number of the yields here. The selection of the seeds is done by the many process. Here we are going to see that the selection of the good seed is done by putting the seed in the water. The selection of the good seeds, we are going to put all the seeds in the water here. The dead and damaged seeds become hollow and float on the water, whereas good seeds sinks. If the seeds are damaged or the dead, they start to float on the water. If we see the seeds floating on the water, we are going to confirm that these seeds are not good for the agricultures. And which seeds are sedimented in the bottom of the container, that seeds are very good for the agriculture. Next step is the traditional tools or the sowing. Here we can say that before using the modern agriculture machinery, traditional tools were used by the farmer. Nowadays we are going to see the large number of the different types of agriculture machineries are available. In the olden days there is no machineries. Everything have to done by the farmers manually. It means he have to prepare every instrument, every material, every machinery by his own hand, or he have to borrow from some other peoples or some other farmers. Now the technology is broadly growth, so we can get easily every machineries for the agriculture. Before the modern agriculture machineries, every people or every farmer is going to cultivate his land by the handmade tools. These are handmade tools are known as traditional tools, or the tools which is made up of the woods are known as the traditional tools here. The traditional tools used to sow the seed is like a funnel. The instrument which is used to sowing the seed in the soil, that instrument is known as, here we are going to see that sowing funnel. Here in the picture we are going to see that there are the two farmers using the sowing tools to sow the seeds in the land. Here we are going to see that there is the funnel like a substance or the funnel like a structure here upside, where the farmer going to put all his seeds, and this funnel is connected to the pipe here, which is a sharp end which is penetrated or pressed in the soil. Here, once the seed put into the funnel, they would go 2 to 3 tubes having the sharp end. Here we are going to see that is only one pipe, but it was when it was in the soil, when it is in the soil, it it is having 2-3 mouths or 2-3 holes where every seed is sown in the soil. The end will press into the soil and place the seeds there. It means when the farmer going to put his seed in this funnel, the one by one the seed is going to put in the soil with the help of the sharp end of that traditional tool. This is the traditional tools used in the agriculture. Here we are, it means in the before invention of the tractors, before invention of the some agriculture machineries, peoples are going to use the ox or the buffaloes or the horse. Some other animals are used in the agriculture. Not only the ox, not only the buffaloes, some other animals also used in the agricultures. Next, seed drilling or the seed drill or sowing by machineries. Seed drills are used for sowing with the help of the tractors. Nowadays the farmer are going to use the tractors and some other machineries to sowing the seed in their fields. It ensures that seeds are sown uniformly. But here when we are going to sowing the seeds by using the tractors or the machineries, they ensure every seed is germinated or every seed put in the soil on a definite distance and particular depth and covered by the soil. These all processes are done by the tractor simultaneously at once, putting the seed in the soil and definite distance and at the definite depth in the soil and covering by the soil. These all are done by the tractor once. It means continuously these three processes are running continuously simultaneously when we are going to drill the seeds by using the tractors here. Some other methods are also we are going to see to sowing the seeds. Some of the agriculture land or the some of the crops are how to put by the hands continuously. For example, we are going to see the garlic. When we are going to produce the garlic, the every garlic seed how to put in the soil by using the farmers or by using the laborers. We are going to put the seeds in the land or in the soil here. Some are done by the hand, some are done by the traditional tools, some are done by the modern technology, or we can say by using the tractor. In the different type of the crops, we are going to use the different type of the machineries to sow the seed in the soil. Next step is that manure and the fertilizer. This is also the very important step of the agriculture. Manure and the fertilizers are the substances that are added to the soil to increase their fertility. It means these manures, their fertilizers are help to increase the fertility of the soil. With the fertility of the soil help the farmer to get more yield. These are the two substances. One is the manure, another one is the fertilizer. By using these things, or by using the manure, by using the fertilizer, the farmer can get a good yield here. If we have to add them in the proper way and in the proper time, otherwise they will also affect they will also burn they will also destroy our crops. So every farmer must know when the manure will be added, when the fertilizer have to add. By getting the knowledge when it have to add, by manure and the fertilizers are going to add in the soil to increase the fertility of the soil here. While manure are made by the decomposition of organic substances. Manure is made by manually or by the decomposing materials. We can take decomposing material means we can take the leaves, we can take the cow dung, we can take the any other animal dung, and we are going to put it into the digged land, and that is converted into the manure. That is known as the manure, that is made by the organic substances like the fruit leaves or the plants leaves and some other vegetable leaves and the cow dung, animal dung. These are the substances, these are the organic substances used to prepare the manure. But fertilizer is made by the inorganic chemicals. Fertilizer fully prepared by the chemicals here. Here, if we see the difference between the manure and the fertilizers, first one, if we see the first point, easily made using the animal and plant waste. In the manure, it is made easily by using the animals, that is the decomposing substances like the animal dung or the plant leaves or the some other plant waste. If we see the fertilizer, made in the factories in a well defined way, by using the technology, by using the chemicals, by using the some chemical processes, we are going to prepare the fertilizers. Second point, no harmful effect as it is fully natural. Manure is fully naturally prepared here. But naturally means we can say that the animal dung, it is the natural, plant waste, that is the natural, fruit leaves, that is the natural, vegetable, lost vegetable, that is also the natural. By using the natural substances, we are going to produce the manure. That is not a harmful here. But the fertilizer have the side effect as it has chemicals. If we are going to add the more fertilizer to our soil, it will destroy our soil fertility and even it destroy the crops also. Why? Because in the preparation of the fertilizers, we are going to use the large number of the chemicals. If we see the third point here, provides mainly organic matter, which is very important for the growth of the plants or for the growth of the crops. It provides mainly organic substances which is prepared themselves in the nature or in the added soil here. These are totally organic matter. Here if we see in the fertilizer, it provides mainly nutrients, required nutrients. The fertilizers having the nutrients which are essential for the growth of the crops, or it is very essential for the soil here. Next, fourth point, good for long term soil fertility. Once we add the manure, it will give help for the many years. Here if we see the fertilizer, not good for the long term soil fertility if we use it in excessive amount. Yeah. If you see here, a manure is how much useful to the farmer. Once we added it in the soil, it will give help for the many years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years until 10 years. But fertilizers, it is not good for the long term. The fertilizers are used by studying of the soil. We have to take the soil for the laboratory and we have to make the test on the soil. after the soil result, which nutrients is a lack in the soil, that nutrients are added in the soil in the form of a chemically prepared fertilizers. We can't use it excessively. If you use more than the capacity, it start to destroy the fertility of the soil and it start to destroy crops also. Fifth point, not effective as a fertilizers. It means it will take it, the effect of the manure will take the long term or in the long time. However, if we added now, if we see the result of these manure after year or the 2 year of the 3 year. But in the fertilizers, very effective in obtaining the fast result. The fertilizer is fully prepared by the chemically, so it will give the instant result. It means if we are going to add the fertilizer for today's crops, then we will get the result in 3-4 months. If we add the manure, we are going to see the effect of this manure for in the next crops, next seasonal crops. Here last point is that it is a very cheap. Why? Because every farmer can prepare his manure himself by using the animal dung and the plant waste. It is a very cheaper and we can prepare it very easily. But fertilizers are prepared in the factories or in the industries. It is a very costly. Some farmers even they not afford the fertilizers. But one thing we can see here, the manure is a very good for the agricultures. More than fertilizer, we have to use the organic manures, which is prepared by the animal waste, which is prepared by the plant waste. For the short term, we can use the fertilizers, but we can't use for the long period. It will destroy the whole soil and crops also. Next one is the irrigation. This is the next step. What is irrigation? Providing water is the important for the proper growth and development of the plant. How we can't survive without water, same as the plant also can't survive without water. Water is a very important for the plant's growth. If you are periodically, if you are continuously, if you are going to use the water in the agriculture, which is known as the irrigation, the plant will grow properly and develop in the proper way. So we can say that water is the important for proper growth and development of the plant. How we need the water to survive on the land, same plants also need the water to grow, to develop. Water is essential because germination of the seed does not take place under the dry condition. Yeah? If there is no water, there is no crop. Means water helps the seed to get germinate in the soil. Means the seed, when the water is reached to the seed, it start to grow in the new plants, in the form of a new plants. So water is a very essential in the agriculture. It helps to germination of the seeds. When the seed is germinated, the seeds start to grow in the in the new form or in the form of a plant. So in the dry land or in the dry soil, in the dry condition, we can't make agriculture. Water is a very essential part of the agriculture. Nutrients dissolved in the water get transported to each part of the plant, and this is also the very important point. Why? Because the manure, the fertilizers, the nutrients which we are added in the soil, they dissolves in the water and reach every part of the plant. Why? Because the root of the plants are going to absorb the nutrients from the soil, and the farmer is going to add his manure and the fertilizer in the soil. When we are going to make the flow of water in the land, the nutrients which are added in the soil start to dissolve in the water, and the water is absorbed by the root of the plants, and all the nutrients, all the required nutrients and the required substances will reach every part of the plants. To make the irrigation, we must have the source of irrigation. The sources of irrigations are well tube. We can say that the bore well also. Second one is the wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and the canals. These are the sources of irrigation. From these sources, we are going to use the waters. By using the water, we are making the irrigation. From the well, from the pond, from the lake, rivers, these are the main sources of the irrigations. Next one is the traditional methods in irrigation. These are that must be happen if, that is the in traditional method in irrigation. There is a little bit mistake is that the water available in wells, lakes and canals is lifted by different methods in the different regions for taking it to the field. Means we have to take the available water from the source to our agriculture land. It means we are transporting the water from source to the agriculture land. So we have to lift the water from the wells. We have to lift the water from the rivers. We have to lift the water from the ponds. And we have to take that lifted water to the agriculture land. Here in the picture we are going to see there are the different types of the irrigation methods. This is known as the Dekli process, where there is a person will going to take the bucket like a substances and he will going to tag it for the balance like a stick, and he will going to pull the water from the well. And second one is that is the chain pump. By the chain pump, the farmer going to provide his water to his crops. In the picture we can see here, this is the, we can say this is the chain, the round things we are going to see in this picture. And next one is the pulley system. This is a very familiar to everyone. Why? Because the person he will throw his substance or the buckets or the tubs or whatever he have, he will going to throw it in the well and he will get the water by the rotating wheel, by the rope. This is also one type of irrigation method. And second thing, last one is that is the Roth lever system. Here we can see the ox or the animal which rotate these stand, and here we are going to see that is the wheel like substances attached with the buckets which will take out water from the pond and throw in the agriculture land. These are the traditional method of irrigation. Irrigation. What is the irrigation? The water available in the well, lake and canals is lifted up by the different methods, and the lifted water to take to the agriculture land is known as the irrigation. Next one is the modern method of irrigation. Sprinkling system, drip system, firing system. These are the modern method of agriculture. Here we are going to see the sprinkling system or the sprinkler system. In this method, the perpendicular pipes having rotating nozzles on the top. We can see in the picture, this is the perpendicular pipe. Here we are going to see here. We will see here the perpendicular line. And it having the rotating nozzles, and the rotating nozzles are here. These are the rotating nozzles from where the water will pump out from the perpendicular line. Perpendicular pipe. Are joined to the main pipeline at a regular interval. It means that in distance between two nozzles is the definite. It may be take the 3 feet, 4 feet or the 10 meters, 15 meter distance we are going to keep between the two nozzles. When the water is allowed to flow through the main pipe under pressure with the help of the pump, it sprinkles from the rotating nozzle. When we are going to allow the water from this perpendicular pipe by the pressure by the water pumps, the water start to fire out from these nozzles. Here we are going to see, we can see here from the picture. In the picture, the water is thrown out from the nozzles. Next one, the modern method of agriculture. In this modern method of agriculture, we are going to see the second system, that is the drip system. This sprinkler is the one method and the drip is also the another method. In this method, the water falls drop by drop just at the root here. Here in this picture we can see here. Directly the pipe is here. The pipe having the hole where from the water will directly reach the root of the plant here. This is here from this pipe the water will fall drop by drop. Next, here there is we can see the modern irrigation and the traditional irrigation. In the modern irrigation, we are not going to waste the water as we are going to waste the water in the tradition. Look here, for example, once again I will going to show you here. Look here, once this chain pumped up, the lot of the water start to flow. The plants are not going to absorb all these waters. They need only the limited amount of the water. By this, if in this traditional method there is the loss of the water, we are going to make the loss here of the water. We are going to waste the large amount of the water in the traditional method. If we are going to see here in the modern irrigation, we are not going to waste the water. Here, how much the plants need, that much amount of the water we can provide to the plants also. This is the difference between the traditional and the modern irrigation. In the traditional, there is a large amount of the water will be wasted. In the modern irrigation, there is no loss of the water. And this water is help to well growth of the plants also. Next one point is the weeds. Weeds are undesirable, unwanted plants that grow naturally along with the crops. These are the weeds in the picture we see here. These are the weeds. These are naturally grown along with the crops. These are the undesirable. There is no use of these plants. That's why we are going to call them as weeds. Weeds complete with the crop by absorbing all the water, nutrients, space and light. These weeds going to make harmful effect to the crop. Why? Because They will absorb the water and they absorb the nutrients of the soil, which is very necessary for the crops, and they absorb the large number of the sunlight, that is also very important for the plants. So totally we can say that these are the unwanted plants, undesirable plants, unusable plants are grown along with the crops. They will affect on the crops by absorbing the water nutrients. They absorb the sunlight. These are the weeds here. How we protect our yield, how we protect our crop. There are the many methods. First one is the tilling method. Second one is the manual removal. Third one is the chemical used. If we see the first method, that is the tilling, is a process done before sowing of the crops that help in uprooting and killing of the weeds here. This is done before sowing the seed in the soil. We are going to remove all the undesirable, unwanted plants from the soil or plants from the agriculture land. That is known as the tilling of the weeds, done before sowing the seed in the land. Second one is the removal, manual removal. It is done by the labor or picked by the hands. Normally we are going to use it by laborers to remove the weeds from the agriculture land. In the first picture we are going to see here, that is the manual removal. The peoples in the picture are going to pick the weeds from the agriculture land. And the third step is a chemical used. Here in the next picture, here we are going to see that the chemical is used to kill the weeds by using the chemicals known as weedicides. The chemicals which is used to kill the weeds, that is known as the weedicides, are prepared by the chemical in the industries. They are also used to destroy the weeds in the agriculture land. From these three methods, first one is the tilling method, manual removal, and third one is the chemical use. By three methods, we can protect our yield, we can protect our crops here. Next one is the, after the protection of the crops, we are going to make the harvest. That is known as the harvesting. The cutting of the crops after it is mature is called harvesting. It means that when the crop is matured, when crop is able to cut, when the crop produce in a large number of yield, that time we are going to cut the crops. That is known as the harvesting, the cutting of the crops after it reaches to maturity. When the crops reach to the maturity, we are going to cut the crop, that is known as the harvesting. In the harvesting, crops are pulled out or cut closer to the ground here. By two methods we are going to harvest the plant. First one is we are directly pull up the plant in the grams. In the grams plant, we are going to pull total plants out from the soil. Totally we are going to pull out the plant from the soil. In other method, we are going to cut the plants very closer to the land or very closer to the soil here. In this picture, we can see that there is a person cutting the wheat plant closer to the earth here. In the right side, the picture we see here, the person is here, he cutting the wheat plant which is reached to the maturity, and he is going to cut his crop near to the soil. In the other method, we are going to use the modern technology to harvest. We use the machineries to cut the crop and dump into the another tractor to carry out from one place to the another place. It can be done by the machines also, and it can be done by the peoples or the farmer also. In the left side picture, we are going to use the modern technology of the irrigation or the modern technology of the agriculture. That is the tractor, that is the transporter tractor. This tractor will cut plants and dump all the crop into this container tractor, and the tractor will take container to from one place to the another place. In other side, we will see that the farmers are going to cut his crops by the hand. This is the traditional harvesting. This is the modern harvesting. Next page. After the harvesting, the next method is the threshing method. Threshing method or the threshing is the process of losing the grains from the plants, or we can say that removal of the seeds from the plants is also known as the threshing. The threshing also done by man and the machines also. Threshing. Here we can see the people are removing the grains or the seeds from the plants by beating them to the hard substances or the rough surfaces. In the right side, we will see that the farmer using the modern technology, that is the threshing instruments, to remove the seeds from the plants. By using this modern technology, we can save the time, we can save the energy of the farmers. But in the left side, we see the people are beating the crops to the hard surface. It will take the more energy when comparing to the modern technology or the modern agriculture methods. After threshing, after removing of the seeds from the plants or after losing the grains from the plants, we will going to make another step, that is the winnowing step. When we make the threshing, lot of the impurities are going to add in the grains. Lot of the impurities will be added in the threshing process. They may be the leaves of the plants, they may be the stalk of the plants. These type of the impurities will be added in the threshing method. By winnowing, the winnowing is the process of separation of grains from the waste particles. We are going to remove the waste particles by winnowing method. Winnowing is done with the help of wind. Here we can see in the picture the woman throwing his grain from the upper region, from the height, from some height, when there is a wind. When the grains start to fall down, the lighter impurities, lighter particles will go away from the grains with the help of wind. Or the farmer can remove his impurities in the crops by using the winnowing step or winnowing method. After winnowing, after threshing, last stage of the agriculture is as storage. After harvesting step, grains are ready to store, and this is important step in the agriculture also. After harvesting, after threshing, after winnowing, this is the last step of the agriculture, where we are going to put our grains, where we are going to store our grains. The grains are ready to store, and this is the important step in the agriculture. The grains are stored in the granaries, or we can say the godowns. Godowns are used to store the grains. in large amount. The grains must be take care when we are going to store our grains or our yield in the granaries. We have to take care of the grains also. Why? Because the stored grains will get infected by the fungal infection. So it is stored in the certain temperature. The temperature helps the grains not to get polluted by the fungal infection. And the grains are stored in the dry place. So today we studied about the crops and how we will going to make the management of the crops, how we going to lose the soil, how we going to put the seed in the soil, that is the sowing of the seeds. Second thing, that is the irrigation, providing the water to the plants or to the seeds by the sources like the wells, lakes, rivers and the ponds, that is the irrigation. After irrigation there is the harvest. We saw the harvest, we discussed about the harvesting, when we have to harvest the plants. When the plants reach to its maturity, then we are going to harvest it. After harvest we studied about the threshing. Threshing means the removal of the grains from the plants by many method, by traditional and by modern technology or modern method. After the removal of these grains from the seeds, we are going to use the next step of the irrigation, that is the winnowing, removal of the waste particles, removal of the impurities from the grains or from the yield. When we are going to remove the waste particles from the our grains, last step is that the storage of the grains and taking care of the grains from the fungus, and the grains are stored in the dry place. And thank you for listening and watching this video. If you like this video, subscribe and like. Thank you very much.